A really good game at the City ground. He ended 1-0. That was between Nottingham Forest and Liverpool. It was first and second going head-to-head at the City ground. Liverpool, next game is at the Gtech Community Stadium where they take on Brentford. Guys, let me start off with you, Yao. Forest then so it means that 4 points they've taken off Liverpool this season because they beat them at Anfield and they've managed to take a point at the City ground. Just talk to me about Liverpool. That's another game they are heading. No, but just quick thoughts on this one and then you build up to that game against Brentford.
I think this is a perfect preparation for their matchup against Brentford because Brentford play a very similar way. Aside they being a bit better, way better in terms of holding on to the ball and possessing the ball better than Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
They love the counter attack. They love the vertical form of attack, vertical transition. They don't dilly-dally too much working the ball down the wings, especially with the angles and all. They're a bit straightforward, vertical, and they thrive on very speedsters in the front line. With Brentford, it's Wisa and Mbeumo. With Nottingham Forest, it's Anthony Elanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi. And so I think this was the perfect preparation for that matchup against Brentford. But it did live up to expectation, having two top three teams face off in midweek. And yeah, well, you have to give it to Matt Sells, the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper. He pulled up some wonderful saves. And I think in the second half, he was very much responsible for keeping this game a score draw. Easily, it could have been Liverpool walking away with all 3 points. Looking at the number of chances that they created, looking at the quality of chances that they created, forcing themselves to make those saves. Yeah, it was a very good outing for Liverpool, but it was just one of those days where the opposing goalkeeper was in such top form. Yeah, against Brentford, I think they'll face something similar. I think they'll face something similar, particularly with the counter-attacking threat from Thomas Frank's side.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was perfect preparation for them, and they should do well to be able to win that matchup because they played against Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup, faced a similar threat because not Spurs, Tottenham Hotspurs, and they faced a similar situation where Spurs looked very potent on the counter attack. They got their goal, and that gave them the win in that first leg via the counter attack. And now they've played Nottingham Forest, so they should be well prepared to play against a team like Brentford. And I'd be very surprised if they don't walk away with all 3 points. Looking at what they've gone through and the kind of impressive performance I've seen from them, or impressive performance I saw from them against Nottingham Forest. Because prior to that game against Forest, they were a little bit flat. Against Man United, they weren't at their best. Then against Spurs, they weren't also at their best. But against Forest, they really were at their best, particularly in the second half. And so I think they're in a very good position, or they're in a good stead to get all 3 points against Brentford.
Okay, so it means that the 3 games that Liverpool have not won, so the 2-2 draw against United, they lost to Spurs in the FA Cup, and then the Carabao Cup, sorry, and then another draw again in the Premier League against Forest. They can't afford to draw again against Brentford.
I believe.
Or to lose.
Well, look, the season is long, but what we are seeing is that it seems that this is not going to be a season where you need 95 points to win this league.
Okay.
Because I think the top teams are just not as good as where they used to be. Because Liverpool had a very fast start, and they seem to be slowing down.
Yeah.
The issue is, would they slow down enough for Arsenal or Nottingham Forest
to catch up?
Or even Newcastle, the way they are flying, because Newcastle have won, 6 straight, 7 straight, or something like that, to fly up the table and catch them. That's the real question. I believe that those teams also look very flawed. I think Nottingham Forest and Arsenal, they are very solid, they are very difficult to break down, but they are not as attacking, they are not as potent in front of goal to know that, okay, they can win of the next maybe 15 games, they can win 13. I just don't see them being that potent in front of goal. I can see them winning maybe 10, I can see them winning 11, but 13 games are a bit difficult, and Liverpool have a bit of a gap. So if they're able to just keep the distance, keep it between, if it's about 4 points with 2 games left, 3 games left in the season, I think Liverpool can take it home. But if you're on the last 3-4 games of the season, they're gap is only like 2 points, then I'll be worried. I think that's where they don't want to be. So if they can keep it to about 4 points, which is where we are now, and they have a game in hand for the last 3-4 games of the season, I think they can take it home. So it's just about being able to match the results that Arsenal, because Arsenal are second now, just matching Arsenal's results until the end of the season. I believe they can do that very easily.
You don't think that Liverpool are beginning to show some cracks in the team that the other teams can actually capitalize on?
I think there's a bit of fatigue building up for sure. I think someone like, especially the midfield, I think Gravenberch and McAllister are playing a lot of games. I think we are seeing injuries, so it's almost like Van Dijk is cycling through partners. Luckily, Van Dijk hasn't been hit, but Konate comes in for a while. Kwanzaa doesn't seem to be trusted by the coach. It looks like Wataru Endo is now one of them, but so it looks like that other centre back spot. Joe Gomez has played a few games, but he's very injury prone. So we are seeing like a rotating cast next to Virgil van Dijk, which isn't good. We know Trent Alexander-Arnold. Sometimes he defends well, sometimes he doesn't. Robertson is on the decline. So there's a lot of issues with that team, but I still think they have enough. I think if Mohamed Salah stays fit, they'll win the league. I believe that wholeheartedly because I think Mohamed Salah is playing some of the best football he's played. So if fatigue doesn't catch him, if he's able to stay consistent, they'll win the league. But if Mohamed Salah has a slight downturn in form, I think they'll be in big trouble. Okay. So I think if Van Dijk and Salah stay fit, they don't have drops in performances, they'll be fine. But the midfield is definitely going to be a concern. I think Gravenberch needs a rest. I think he's starting to get tired. I think the games are catching up to him. Luckily for them, they don't have to play those 2 extra Champions League games. But how far are they going in the Champions League? How far are they going in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Who are you drawing in the FA Cup? Because if you draw, let's say, Shrewsbury Town versus drawing Manchester United in the next round, I know the draw has already been made, but just to give an example, against Manchester United, you can't say you're going to play academy players. If you draw Shrewsbury Town, you can say, okay, let's give some players a rest. So getting easy draws in some of these competitions is also key to prolonging their title charge and making the season easy. Luckily for Arsenal, they are out of the FA Cup, so that's one less issue for them. Nottingham Forest are not in Europe, so those two teams have a bit of an advantage. Whereas you have Liverpool are competing on 4 fronts.
You get an opportunity to rest your players.
The second leg against Spurs, they are going to have to bring out a strong team to overturn their deficit. So they are not in a good place in terms of the games coming up. But if they have some favourable draws in some of these competitions, they can get it. They can have an easier season for sure.